What is going on, guys? Marijn here and welcome to today's video. Today I want to talk about a special subject, which is aesthetics. And the reason I want to talk about this is because the last few years we've really seen a hype in fitness. Like, more people than ever are into fitness, which is really awesome, right? But also more people than ever are on social media, on Instagram, striving for this freaky, big, unnatural look when it comes to your physique. And we also see this in pro bodybuilding, right? It went from these very aesthetic physiques like Frank Zane to nowadays, you know, like physiques like Phil Heath with a massive gut. And I literally, I'm wondering, where is this headed? Why is this happening? It seems like people somehow, in my opinion, forget the point about physical training and what you actually do it for and the way you want to look. And I feel like freaky and big is taking over because that's just how the world is these days. You know, every year it gets crazier, especially with social media. People just have to do more and more extreme things in order to get noticed, right? And that's also why I see a lot of these young kids hopping on steroids because they see someone on Instagram, they want to be as big as possible too, and they end up just not looking good at all, just looking like a water balloon, you know. And I don't understand why you would do that to yourself. With that said, I think my opinion is pretty clear. I don't think that bigger is better when it comes to creating this aesthetic physique. There are things you can do in order to work towards creating a very aesthetic physique, and I'm gonna give you guys my opinion and my tips on how to do so in this video. Let's get it started. Now, as I said, when it comes to aesthetics, it's not about having the most amount of muscle possible. What it is about is having muscle in the right area. So that is what you got to train for. You got to train for those areas that make you look aesthetic, and those will actually make you look bigger as well. So you may have less muscle than someone else, but you may look bigger in the process because you have them in the right areas. It's all about having the right proportions of muscle on your physique, and it's also a lot about symmetry. And one thing that's very important in order to create that symmetry is unilateral work, because you have to make sure that the right side of your body is the same as the left side of your body. If all you do is movements where you use both hands or both sides at the same time, for example, if you do a pull-up, you use both of your arms at the same time to do so. You should also incorporate some work where you do a one-arm pull-down, where you have to do both sides unilateral, working separately from each other in order to make sure that you create that symmetry. Because if you always do both arms at the same time, it may just be so that one side of your body grows a little bit more than the other side because one side may be stronger than the other one. So throw in unilateral work, and this doesn't have to be the majority of your workout, but it has to be at least like 1 or 2 exercises per body part, right? And then always make sure to start with your weaker arm. So for example, if you do bicep curls and I can do 7 reps with my right arm and I can do like only 6 reps with this arm, I should start with this arm and do 6 reps, and then I should also do 6 reps with this arm, even though I can do 7 reps, because otherwise this one will grow more than that one. You have to make sure that they catch up to each other so that they're evenly strong and evenly big. In terms of proportions, what I think is most aesthetically pleasing and what everybody usually considers to be an aesthetic physique is the wide shoulders and the small waist. The shoulder to waist ratio, the V shape. This is just so aesthetic, and I feel like everybody should strive to have that. So first of all, you want to build up those wide shoulders, of course, which is very important. So you want to focus on creating that width, right? So a big mistake I see in the gym is people doing a lot of work for their front delts. They first of all do a lot of overhead presses, which is great, that's a great exercise, but then they also throw in a lot of isolation work, such as front raises for the shoulder. And the issue with this is that your front delt actually gets a lot of work already simply by you doing chest movements, right? If you do presses, even if you do flies, you usually activate your front delt a lot as well in that process. So you will overload them already. Now, if on top of that you also do the overhead press and then you also do more isolation work, you literally hammer the shit out of them while not hammering the shit out of your rear delt. So what will happen is that your posture will actually get bad and your shoulders will start to round forward, which is not something that you want. So what I recommend is not over excessively training your front delts with isolation exercises. The only exercise you should really do that target them directly is overhead presses. This can be with dumbbells or a barbell. That is up to you. And next to posture, the front delt simply is not a very aesthetic muscle. Instead, we want to focus on the side delt, which will give us that width, right? The cannonball delts is what they say as well, which is a combination actually of the 3 delts. So you also definitely want to make sure you hit the rear delt properly for posture and for aesthetics too, because it just looks best when it's fully developed, your whole shoulder, right? But I usually focus a lot on my side delts, and that is why they are one of my strong points for sure, and they make me look a lot wider than I was back in the day when I only focused primarily on that front delt, right? So plenty of volume on the side delts. I see many people swinging too much on lateral raises. They just literally like go too freaking heavy. It is not exercises you have to go heavy on, all right? these are all isolation exercises. You don't have to go heavy on the exercise in order to train your side delt. So simply go pretty light. I will also suggest at some point doing a drop set, for example, where you hold the weight at the top and let it come down. But if you guys want more tips for this, definitely let me know in the comments down below, because then I can make a full video separately on building up the 3D shoulders, right? But I do recommend doing dumbbells once a week and then also doing cables once a week for the constant tension. Combination of the two is amazing, and you will definitely see them grow. So now that we have the wide shoulders, we also need the small waist, right? A part of this is obviously fat loss, but you can definitely train your abs, right? Many people say abs are made in the kitchen. I call this bullshit. What I like to say is abs are created in the gym and abs are revealed in the kitchen. It's a combo of the two. You can definitely train your core, you can definitely train your abs, and especially your transversus abdominis, which is your inner abs, and those will really make sure that your core is very tight, and that will give you that small waist look, which is really amazing, very aesthetic. And you can also do vacuums in order to practice this and in order to work your TVA as well. If you do a lot of vacuums, you can do this after literally like every ab workout or even every single day. That is up to you. I like to do it about 3 times a week. I do my vacuums at the end of my workout, but my abs are very well developed, and this is not something that just happened overnight. This is something that I work for, and this is something very important, something a lot of people neglect. When you are bulking, where you're trying to put on muscle mass in a period of time, a lot of people stop training abs, or they don't train them as hard. And then when they start cutting down, when they start losing fat, then is the moment when they start training their abs, right? Because then they reveal. And as I said, they reveal in the kitchen, yes, but they are built in the gym with weights preferably, because then they also get bigger, right, in that process. And that's what a lot of people don't do, and then their abs do not really improve. If you want to make big improvements in your abs, you have to train them when you are bulking, and you have to go heavier over time. You have to apply progressive overload just as you do with any other body part, right? And that is why when I'm bulking, when I'm at a very high body fat, actually like too much body fat, you will still see my abs, like over 15% body fat. They will always still be slightly visible because the blocks are just very thick, because I built them up. But for the small waist, really start focusing now on the transversus abdominis. Also start focusing on your abs in general, right? And especially your lower abs as well, which will make you super aesthetic when you are at a low body fat. Next muscle group that is required for aesthetics is your lats, and that is basically the width of your back, right? And the reason this is so aesthetic is because, again, this will help you when you have a small waist, wide shoulders. Your lats will literally go like this, right? And it will make your shoulders look even wider. So they will create that illusion that you are even wider than you actually are. And that is what I was saying in the beginning of this video. It doesn't really matter if you have the most amount of muscle, because you will look so much more muscular if you have these crazy proportions, right? And that is what the lats will really assist in creating that even wider look. When it comes to chest training, I think we can all agree that the upper chest makes you look very aesthetic, and this is the one that also pops out when you're wearing a t-shirt, right? If you're lean and you have this upper chest, you can actually see it like popping out when you wear a t-shirt, which is really sick, and it just makes you look super aesthetic, right? Compared to having very big lower chest, because then it looks like you have a boob hanging there. Me personally, it's still something I highly focus on. I've been able to grow my chest a lot in the last few years, but it takes a lot of time. It's one of my genetic weak points, which means like some people just have better genetic weak points than others. You also have to realize this, which is why I think it's even more important to train for aesthetics, right? And to really specifically think about how you are training your muscles. And for me, this is really a lagging body part, but I've been hitting my upper chest now a lot, like properly with different techniques in the last few years, and it has definitely made some great improvements. So I'll keep going, and I want you guys to do the same. Focus on that upper chest. As far as legs, I am not team skip leg day, but I'm also not team get the most huge legs that are humanly possible. I don't think that massive legs really look good. Girls don't really like it either. Girls do like a solid booty, you know, believe it or not. They do like, you know, like proper strong legs, but they don't have to be very big in size. I think they have to be more defined, which is something that I would highly focus on and that I focus on personally myself. I have very defined legs, and that is because I do a lot of different exercises. I hit them from a lot of different angles, different rep ranges, so that you can target all the muscle fibers, which is extremely important to create that defined look in your legs. So if right now you're only doing squats for legs, you're training more like a power lifter, and I wouldn't do that if you want to train for aesthetics, because then it comes more back to bodybuilding. You want to do more isolation exercises, and for the legs, I think this is extremely important because the legs are very big muscle groups. There's a lot of different muscle fibers, and you want to try and hit all of them. And I'm not gonna lie, calves are also a very aesthetic body part. My calves are, they often call them the biggest in the fitness industry. I mean, like, I don't want to take too much credit, but they're pretty freaking big. So that is that for the body parts I think you should really focus on and prioritize in your training. to create those aesthetics, right? Now, if you guys want any more information, like specific workouts for these body parts, then let me know in the comments down below. Now, next to developing these body parts, what is super important for aesthetics is having a lean physique, right? Now, this is not something that all of you guys will be able to create immediately, right? But training for aesthetics is a project that takes a long time. Like, you have to make an investment of building all that muscle, and while you build that muscle, you will not be your leanest. Like, that is simply not possible, because you're not going to be able to lose fat and build a lot of muscle at the same time. So instead, you're going to have this period where you focus on bulking, lean bulking, so where you eat more calories than you burn, and in that period you start to gain weight and you start to gain strength, you start to gain muscle, and you go up from there, but you also go up a little bit in body fat. And then the next phase will be cutting down, where you get super lean and you get rid of all the fat while maintaining your muscle. And you have to train very specifically for that. I have a lot of videos on this as well. I'll link them down below, because once you build that muscle, you don't want to lose the muscle, right? You want to maintain the muscle and you want to strip off the fat, and then you will bring your best physique. And you have to maybe do this a couple of times before you reach your aesthetic goal. And last up, but definitely not unimportant, having a tan will certainly increase your aesthetics. It will make you look leaner. It will overall just make you look more alive, I would say as well. If someone is tan in the face, right, they usually look more pretty, in my opinion. Whether it's girls or guys, I think most people agree with me. And that is just facial aesthetics. But when it comes to your physique, it will literally make you look tighter. It will make you look more dry. It will literally show the cuts off a lot more, and you will look more shredded. Now, I'm not saying you guys should go tanning every single day. Stay responsible. I don't really have advice on this either, because I personally have really good tan genetics, so I don't have to go that often. Let's say it's winter here, I'm not traveling at all, which I am, so I really don't have to hit tanning beds. But then I would hit the tanning bed maybe once every 2 or once every 3 weeks. That's what I personally would do, all right? So it's not my advice, it's just what I'm doing. So those are my main tips, and that's my opinion on how to create an aesthetic physique. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think the industry is getting a little messed up. We're going in the wrong direction. So I want to take the direction, the good side, at least for the peeps that are watching my channel. And I think we should all train for those aesthetics and really focus on that. And I think that, like, even naturally, you can look so amazing if you focus on these key areas, and you can look so much different than you think you can look, simply by creating this illusion, right? If you're super lean, you're super tight, you have this little waist, wide shoulders, you will automatically look like so much more impressive than you do when you are bulky and when you have muscle in the wrong areas and when you don't really like see it, right? But as I said as well, you also might have to go through that little bulky stage in order to become shredded later. Me, myself right now, I don't look the best, but you guys will see in summer that I will reveal my most aesthetic physique ever, because that is what I'm training for, and I'm super excited to do that. As I said, investments have to be made. I hope you guys right now know what to do. Go train this way. If you have any more questions, leave them down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you appreciate it, if you like this video, and I hope to catch you guys very, very soon. Peace out.